don't know if this has happened to anyone else, but I went through the absolute most to get my South Carolina real estate license. In this video, we're going to be talking about what to prepare for and how to be on the top of your A game when getting your South Carolina real estate license. I'm in the car and I'm actually right outside the testing center to take my South Carolina real estate exam. Hey everybody, it's your realtor friend here in North Carolina. If you are new to my channel, I have been a fully licensed non-provisional real estate broker in the state of North Carolina for 4 years. And here on my channel, I focus primarily on entrepreneurship, real estate, and behind the scenes of what it's like to actually be a real estate agent. So if you're into all of that, entrepreneurship, real estate, go ahead and click the subscribe button to stay updated when I post a new video. So yes, as I mentioned, I am outside of the testing center right now, and I wanted to go ahead and make this quick video because when you show up to the testing center, you do have to have one form of identification, which could usually be your license. The exam is approximately 80 minutes for the state portion if you're already licensed in the state of North Carolina or the state of Georgia. South Carolina have what is called reciprocity. So if you've already been licensed in those states, essentially you will need to take only the state board portion of the exam. So with that being said, I am about 15 minutes early. Per the email, you should arrive 15 minutes prior to your testing time. My testing time is at 2 p.m. Right now it's about 1:43 p.m. And so I'm actually about to head into the testing center. And when we get out, I'm going to share with you guys, while it's fresh on my brain, everything that was on the exam or what the questions mostly consisted of. And then I'm also going to give you a few tips to prepare for what to do to get ready for the test. Study guides, documents you need, and things of that sort. So without further ado, let's go ahead and head into the testing center. I don't think I'm supposed to have my phone, so I think I may have to turn it off or put it away or turn it in at the front desk or something, but I will let you guys know. Also, by the way, today is Tuesday, August the 6th.
Much later.
Oh, y'all, I just got back in the car. 45 minutes later, the test started at 2 o'clock. The time is now 2:46. So essentially 45 minutes later, I'm done with the test. The test was a total of 45 questions. As soon as you got on the inside of the building, there was like this check-in table where you had to let them know what your name was, what type of test you were going to be taking, and then you could bring in like a purse and cell phone and things of that nature, but they had like these red bags with zippers on it, and you had to put all of your things in the red bag, and then they put an actual little lock on it with a key. And then you also got scanned to make sure that you didn't have any other, I guess, electronics or anything on you. And then I was advised to lift up my pants legs, so to make sure, I guess, I wasn't hiding anything under there. After that, I had to get my photo taken by another representative, and then I had to sign off on a, I guess it was like a disclosure type of form, going over the testing rules, what not to do, that sort of thing. And then I was given the green light to go inside of the testing center, which they had like cubicles. You had your own computer. They did provide one calculator, a sheet of scrap paper, one sheet of scrap paper, and a pencil. And as soon as you started taking the test, there was a few sample questions and like a quick tutorial on how to navigate the system, and then you could actually begin to take the test. So you had up to, I believe, 80 minutes to complete the exam, and it was a total of 45 questions. Most of the questions on the exam seem to be dealing a lot around common agency law, that type of thing. There were like one question regarding meals and tax rate, another question regarding the price for deed recording. What else was on the test? Yeah, it was a lot of questions just around what agents are allowed to do when we are in a dual agent type of relationship, or if we are not representing either party. So I would say if you are in the midst of studying for the South Carolina real estate exam, definitely look into the do's, the don'ts, read over agency, because that was definitely like most of the questions. I feel all of the other questions seems to be like pretty common sense, but some questions I definitely got stuck at. So yeah, I will give you guys some study tips that I use. I only use like a study guide that was provided by my office, but I'll get into that a little bit later in this video. After I finish, I grabbed the little book bag that they provided me with. I checked out, I said my name, and she printed out 2 pieces of paper. First paper was this little sheet that you see here, and she stated that I would need to respond to the email within the next few days and follow 4 steps. And anyways, I would show you, well, yeah, I can show you this. So I passed, y'all. So I'm so glad that's behind me, because as I was taking the test, there was at least like 7 or 8 questions that I wasn't sure about, and with the test having such few questions, only 45 questions, I was like, oh my god, am I gonna have to take this test again? It was very tricky. Like, some questions I need a little bit of clarification on. It was okay. From a level of difficulty, or the questions being challenging, from a level of 1 to 10, 10 being the most challenging, I give it like a 6 or 7. It was pretty challenging. I also don't know, because I haven't really like, I'm in the business already, so I'm already kind of immersed in the business, but the questions just seem a little bit tricky. Like, it was trying to trip me up a little bit. And I probably should have studied the agency law a little bit more for South Carolina, but that's something that, you know, we can continue to do through continuing education and things of that nature. So yeah. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm done. I passed. I guess I'll look at the next steps that comes into my email and I'll share it with you guys. And then when I get back to the office, I will let you guys know what type of documents you're going to need to even get to this point to take the licensing exam, because that's the part where I got hung up at. I started the process in the beginning of May, and it's currently August. So that goes to tell you I was all kinds of confused about what documents I needed, what documents I didn't need. At one point, I got a document notarized. I don't even know if that document was still needed or if it was outdated information. So when I get back to the office, I'll be sharing with you guys some of the documents that you need to have handy to have a more seamless experience than what I did. And then also the study guide that I use, I can share that with you guys, and we'll be all set to go. For now, I'm about to drive back to the office, and I will see you guys when I get there.
The next day.
Okay, so currently, guys, it is actually the very next day. I did not have time to record when I got to the office yesterday, so boom, here we are. Wanted to go ahead and record this part of the video, which is all of the documents, documentation, paperwork, things you need to gather to be in a position to make the process as seamless as possible. Because for me, this part was the most challenging. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, it literally took me since May, which is June, July, August, 3 months to get my documentation in order, between calling the South Carolina Real Estate Commission, speaking with one of the people through email, asking my team members. So I hope that this part of the video is very informative and it will save you time, energy, and a headache of trying to figure it out yourself. So in this part of the video, we are going to get into what documents you need to have handy and on file, ready to submit to the South Carolina Real Estate Commission. First things first is you will need a copy of your driver's license, both the front and back. You will need to either scan it in or just have like a photo of the driver's license front and back. That is the first document you will need. The second document you will need is another form of identification. They specifically have that you will need your social security number or card on their application process. I will try to input it on this video. So if you don't have a social security card, I'm not sure what other forms of ID are acceptable, but I do know that you will need a social security card. Number 3, my friends, is if you have been married and have changed your name, you will need a copy of your marriage certificate stating that you have been married and that is the reason for your name change. So however you need to find that document, luckily I'm organized and I was able to easily find my marriage certificate. But if that is the case for yourself, you will need a copy of your marriage certificate. Alternatively, did I say that right? I hope so. If you have been divorced, then you will need a copy of your divorce certificate. I guess that's what it's called, divorce decree, divorce certificate. You get the gist. Next, you will need a copy of your highest form of education. For South Carolina, you only need a high school diploma. But if you have been to a 4-year university or you have some college experience, you will either need a copy of your high school diploma, your college diploma, or your GED certificate. Next, I know I am recording this video for both licensees who are in the state of North Carolina as well as Georgia. I myself am in North Carolina and they did request a certificate of licensure. I personally thought that the certificate of licensure was the license information when I first got my license, but come to find out it's actually a totally different document. So for North Carolina, you have to log in to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission under your profile, and there is an area where you can actually request your certificate of licensure. If you need any assistance with this, the North Carolina Real Estate Commission is very responsive. They're always very helpful. You can just give them a call. The number is listed directly on their website. They can walk you through the process, and you will need a copy of this document. Just save it as a PDF. For Georgia, honestly, I'm not quite sure. I'm not licensed in Georgia, but I would imagine it to be the same, to where you can contact Georgia's Real Estate Commission for them to give you instructions on how to get a copy of your certificate of licensure. Next up, you will need a verification of a lawful presence. Honestly, I'm not even sure what this is. If I can find the document that I submitted, I will try to insert it in this video so you can know exactly what I am referring to. But for this document, you actually had to get the document notarized. So be on the hunt or lookout to find a notary in your area. Also, if you are a member of a credit union, just a quick tip, typically credit unions offer their members free notarizations of simple documents such as the one that you need for South Carolina real estate licensure. So again, this is verification of lawful presence and it will need to be notarized. The final document that you need, my friends, is to actually complete the application. This part is going to ask you some basic contact information on the very first page, and then on the pages after, they will ask you contact information about your education, your license information, and things of that nature, and you'll need to sign and date that document. And that is the official application for the South Carolina real estate license. So after you have completed your application and have all of these other documents, hopefully I'm not missing a document because they requested quite a few documents. But after you have submitted all of your documents, you will need to get your background check. By the information that was on the application, it was very confusing. So I am clarifying this portion as it relates to your background check. They are requesting a social security background check, and they are also requesting a fingerprint background check. So you must have both. You must have both the social security background check done as well as the fingerprint background check done as well. And both of these are done through 2 separate entities or companies. You have to reach out separately to get the fingerprint set up at a location that's nearest to you. And for the Social Security background check, that is just something that you fill out online, listing all of your previous addresses, and it run it through the system, and you'll hear back in a few days with the results. So that's just an FYI, because I personally thought it was one of the other, not both. But you actually have to do both. Next up in this video, we are going to talk about the overall cost of how much it is to get your South Carolina real estate license. So I'm going to go over the cost line item by line item, and then at the very end, you'll be able to know the total of how much it will cost you to actually get your license. So since we just covered the background check, the fingerprints are going to cost a total of $55. $55 for the fingerprints. The Social Security background check is going to cost roughly $63. I think if you've lived in like a lot of places or out of state or something, it may be a little bit more, but I would plan for $63 for the Social Security background check. With your application that you have for South Carolina, you also have to submit a $25 application fee. And for the $25, it's not electronic, unfortunately. You either have to mail a check of $25 or a money order of $25. And that is to go with your actual application. Next, you have the fees for scheduling your exam through PSI. And that actually cost me $55 to get that scheduled. So when you go to the PSI scheduling website and pick out your testing date and time, at the very end, you'll be prompted to make a payment, and that is electronic. So you can actually use a debit or credit card. And that portion was a total of $55. And finally, last but not least, when you pass the exam and you are ready to move forward and actually receive your license for South Carolina, there is going to be a $50 initial licensure fee that you will have to pay to activate your license for the first time. And that again is $50. So if you calculate all of that, the total to get your South Carolina real estate salesperson license comes to $248. Which I would essentially just round that to about $250 that you need to have saved and prepared to the side. Last but not least is just some study tips. I kind of touched on this at the very beginning of the video, but my firm, I don't know where they got the study guide from, but it is a total of 200 questions. And those 200 questions for South Carolina real estate exam prep was really all that I studied to pass the South Carolina real estate exam. And again, I have been a realtor for 4 years in the state of North Carolina. And for me, a lot of the laws and licensing rules were very similar, so I didn't feel the need to study a lot. But in retrospect, if you really wanted to prepare fully for it, and I would personally, I'm pretty sure South Carolina has a exam booklet or something like that. I would really brush up my skills on common agency and agency law. Those would be like the two areas that I focus on. You can also take a look at timeshare, property management, and I'm just covering big topics here. Timeshare, property management, how to do the math on deed recording and mills, calculating mills for taxes. So that would be the main areas that I focus on for the exam. And other than that, you should be pretty good to go. Focus on those main topics that I just listed out. And then finally, I would suggest if there is some type of South Carolina pre-licensing class that you can take, if you take that, I'm sure you'll pass with flying colors, and you can just find a real estate school to take that course or an online course, and I think you would be good to go. All right, you guys. Well, I hope that this video has been helpful. As I stated before, it was very challenging for me to go through the entire application process in terms of getting all my documentation together, my paperwork. Months went by and I was very confused. So I hope that this video is helpful for my real estate agents and aspiring real estate agents in the state of North Carolina and Georgia who are interested in getting your South Carolina real estate license. If you did find this video to be helpful, go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more real estate related content in the behind the scenes for what it's like to be a real estate agent on a day-to-day basis. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.